What is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be talking about the different types of controllers that Fortnite players use. Up until a few years ago, players never really had much of a choice when it came to the controller they used while gaming. Really, your only choice as a PlayStation or Xbox player was whether you wanted to use the wireless or wired version of the base controller they gave you when you purchased the console. But nowadays, there are definitely a lot more options to consider. Just to name a few of the most popular ones, you can get a scuf, which has multiple different models as well. There's the Xbox Elite Series 1, Xbox Elite Series 2. I know Astro recently released a new type of controller. Some people prefer to use strikepacks. It can definitely get a little bit overwhelming if you aren't really sure what exactly you want. And that's one of the biggest questions I get asked all the time. Hey bro, I want to get a new controller, what do you recommend? Is a scuf or Xbox Elite worth it? Is there something cheaper I can get, or should I just buy another regular controller? So the purpose of this video is to hopefully answer some of those questions to the best of my ability. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start this off by talking about hands down the two most popular types of controllers among top Fortnite players, the scufs and the Xbox Elites. Now I know there's some other options at this kind of premium price point like the Astro C40 and Razer Wolverine Ultimate, but those controllers both have some slight flaws. For the Astro C40, it's the fact that it's a decent amount more expensive than the other premium controllers without really offering any extra worthwhile features. And for the Razer Wolverine Ultimate, it's the fact that it's Xbox only, so at that point, why not just get an Xbox Elite controller? So because of that, the scuf and Xbox Elite are definitely the best options when it comes to controllers that give you customizable paddles. I've talked about that many times before, but paddles which go on the back of your controller are so valuable because they allow you to use certain fingers to press buttons that you don't normally use with a regular controller, specifically your two middle fingers. So because of all that, it's fairly obvious why the vast majority of top-level players use scufs and Xbox Elites. Just to give you an idea of how it's split up, I looked at 15 top-level controller players, and out of those 15, 8 of them use a scuf and 5 of them use an Xbox Elite. The scuf guys were Assault, Destroy, Nick Merc, CRR, Merc and AV, Shaw, Scoped, and Sharp, and then the Xbox Elite players are Inno, Unknown Army, Wolfies, Lecce, and myself. And just in case you're wondering, the two other players out of the 15, Wavy Jacob and X, both use the regular PS4/Xbox controller. But getting back to the scuf versus Xbox Elite, there are a few things about that 8-to-5 split of players that you need to realize. The most obvious one is the fact that scuf having the most players using it is actually somewhat misleading. And what I mean by that is scuf controllers have both Xbox and PS4 versions, while the Xbox Elite controllers are, obviously as the name suggests, Xbox only. Therefore, I think a better summary here than saying scuf is the most popular with Xbox Elite close behind is instead saying the majority of top PS4 controller players use scufs, specifically the Impact and Infinity models since there's so many different ones, and the majority of top Xbox controller players use the Xbox Elite. And in my experience, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not getting paid for this video or being sponsored by any of these companies, I can promise you that, so my truly unbiased thoughts as someone who's used both of those controllers is that the Xbox Elite is definitely better. I wouldn't say it's a massive difference. I don't want to make people think that if they have a scuf, they should throw it in the garbage and go out and buy an Elite. But since it's made by Microsoft themselves, it kind of makes sense that it's a higher quality controller made out of better materials than a typical scuf, and also it offers you some extra customization features that other controllers simply can't. But if you're a PS4 player, be sure to stick around because in maybe 2 minutes, we're going to be talking about an awesome and very cheap alternative to scufs. But getting back to the Xbox Elite issue, another question that branches off from this is should I get an Xbox Elite Series 1 or Series 2? So first off, out of the 5 players I told you about from earlier that used Elites, 4 of them are currently using the Series 2, Ino, Unknown Army, Wolfies, and me, and only Lecce is still using the Series 1. So when I went to look up the price difference between the 2 versions, I obviously expected the Series 2 to be at least a little more expensive. But based on what I saw, they're pretty much the same price at most places. So because of that, if your plan is to purchase an Xbox Elite, I think my recommendation would definitely be to go with the Series 2. It isn't a huge step up compared to the Series 1 in terms of features. The most notable are probably the ability to customize stick tension and the strength of trigger stops, but I do feel like the build quality of the controller is noticeably better. But again, the biggest drawback of the Xbox Elite and scuf is definitely the cost. I believe the absolute cheapest scuf you can get is around $150 US, and the Elites are more around $180. And I even know people that get super decked out scufs that push the cost past $200. So that's obviously a really sizable investment, especially since even the highest quality of controllers can break relatively quickly. So if you don't want to spend that type of money, there are other cheaper options out there. In my opinion, hands down the best cheap option is something which is almost brand new for PS4 players called the DualShock 4 back button attachment. I believe it was only initially announced maybe a month ago in the middle of December, and I really think it's the greatest innovation in controller technology in recent history. This new product only costs about $30, and in case you haven't heard of it yet, I'll just read the quick little description that Sony gives for it. The DualShock 4 button attachment was designed to deliver more versatility and performance when gaming. It provides 2 tactile back buttons designed for comfort and precision to give you an edge in your favorite titles. It includes both a dedicated button that allows you to remap inputs on the fly so you're always prepared no matter what game you're playing, and a high-fidelity OLED display that provides clean-cut information about button assignments, as well as the ability to save and choose button presets to fit any gaming situation. So basically, it's something that you add onto the back of a regular controller that gives you 2 extra buttons just like paddles on a scuf or Xbox Elite. And for $30, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be disappointing in some way, but all the reviews I read online were actually really positive. I saw some 3 or maybe 4-star ones that said it looks and feels a little bit bulky, but for $30, it's simply the best value out there in my opinion. The only negative I can see is that since it's still very new, a lot of online websites and stores seem to be sold out right now. At the moment, Amazon's sold out, so is Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, and even Target. So if you truly want these things ASAP, your best bet is probably calling some physical locations that would carry them to check, but depending on where you live, you may have to wait a bit. Now, for all my Xbox guys out there, there is somewhat of a similar product to what I just described. It's something I actually get asked about fairly frequently, called a strike pack from a third-party company. It's a little more expensive than the $30, but not by much. It's more in the $35 to $40 range, depending on which model you pick, and the basis of it is fairly similar. It's an attachment you snap onto the back of a regular Xbox controller, and it gives you 2 extra paddles. And even though I would never recommend this because you'll get banned, the strike pack also apparently comes with a bunch of different crazy shooting mods, so just thought that was worth mentioning. So I think it's definitely a decent substitute for Xbox players that obviously can't use the Sony back button attachment, but I have heard a few negative things about the strike pack regarding things like its durability and general design. More specifically, I saw a few comments saying they break fairly easily, and the paddles can be slightly hard to reach if you have short fingers. But if you're nervous or just not able to shell out $150 to $200 for the premium paddle controllers, I think trying the strike pack is a solid idea. Even if you end up having some problems with it, you won't be super upset because you didn't waste a ton of money, and also you'll be training yourself to use paddles, so when you do eventually upgrade to a premium controllers, there's much less of a learning curve. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know what controller you currently use to play Fortnite or really any of your video games with. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.